What's up? This is Dan Fredenberg for FigureItOut.com and FunnelFixing.com and DanDoesDeals.com. I've got all the websites, but today I'm talking to Javier Hinojo Jr., who is one of the most active investors in my group of multifamily real estate, and he's even named his dog Cash Out Refinance, right?
Right here. That's her right here. Say hi, Cashy.
Hi,
Or,
Cashy.
or Cashy for short.
Cashy, that's good. That's good. So thanks for being here today, Javier. Could you introduce yourself for the audience, please?
Sure. Hey, my name's Javier Hinojo. I've been in real estate about 5 years. Married for, I don't know. My wife and I were talking about it last night. We're like, is it 22, 23 years? I don't know. After like 10 years, it feels like 5 minutes. Underwater. No,
Mhm.
but yeah, 22 years. We got 5 kids, all the way from 10 to 26.
Holy
So
smokes.
I got married when I was 8. That's what I tell everybody, maybe 10. And that's about it. I mean, I'm a high school push out, C plus student. My wife says I was a D student, but hey, I want to give myself a little more credit.
Yeah.
Didn't go to college. Always had in my blood to be an entrepreneur, and I just knew real estate at some point I had to do it.
Mhm.
I just didn't know how to get into it, and I fell into it, and kind of the rest is history.
Yeah, well, I come from the digital side, so basically I've been doing web tech, mass emailing, all that kind of stuff, and programming for the real estate niche for 7 years now. And the one thing that always bothered me about large assets in general, though, is how they tie your money up. And I thought back then that even if it appreciates, you still have to sell the asset in order to get all your cash out, right? So you and I both know that isn't true. So maybe you can tell the audience why you named your dog Cashy.
Yeah, Cashy. So cash out refinance, right? So basically, it's like when I used to do single family houses. I used to buy a single family house, just say $50,000. I would put in 20K into it, and then it would appraise for 100,000. And then the bank would give us back either 75 or 80% of the value of the house. So we get back either 75 or 80,000. So we would initially get our 70 all in. That we were all in at 70K. We get all that back plus a little bit extra. So you get to recycle your money, and we just do that with larger commercial projects. And just all you gotta do is just add a couple of more zeros. It's not 50K. It's just just a few more zeros.
Right. But the main thing is that you also still get to keep control of the asset and
Yep.
the cash flow that comes
Yes.
from it.
So you got cash flow. Hopefully you got yourself a good 25% equity built in the property, and your debt to income ratio is pretty good, and you're cash flowing nicely. So
And I watched one of your videos, and you were talking about daisy chains on deals, and I think it goes to a saying I've heard, which is that was it buyers are liars, sellers are worse, and they said something bad about wholesalers. Does that ring a bell at all?
I
Is
don't know
that
about the
such?
bad part about wholesalers, right? But I mean,
Mhm,
look, I don't mind wholesalers. Look, a lot of people, a lot of real estate investors started wholesaling. I started
mhm,
fix and flip, and then I started wholesaling. Hey, I'll wholesale. I'll assign some of the projects that I have right now that don't fit our buy box.
mhm.
But the biggest thing is you just can't grab people's deals and just market them without their permission. That's what pisses me off. If somebody
Right.
was to call me and say, "Hey, man, I got 1,000 buyers or 5,000 lists or something. Can I market your property?" Well, hey, at least do me the courtesy and ask me. Be like, "Yeah, okay. Well, if I can't sell it, give me about a week or so, and maybe we can work something out. I'll pay you a fee. You're gonna bring a buyer, and you've done the work, but don't just take it without asking." I see my stuff. People sending me my own stuff. I'm like, how the hell did you even get my project, man? And it's not even at that price. I have it at $1 million. They're selling it at $1.5 million. It's like, geez.
Right. Yeah, that's really just absolutely brutal. But I bring it up because I think that smart sellers might watch this video and feel like their property is like their baby, and they probably only want to sell to somebody who will buy and hold, or at least rehab it, so it's not an eyesore, right? Like a lot of
For
people,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So whenever you talk to a seller, right, you let them know, like, hey, look, I'm looking to buy this property, or this property if we can't buy it, doesn't fit our box, we have other investors that may want to jump on it. But you just straight up, forward with them so they know that if you don't buy it, you're going to sell it to another investor. But, we try to buy everything that we get under contract, right? Anything we're going after, we definitely we want to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want to make it nicer. We want to, just make it a lot of the projects, they've been owned by somebody who's had it for 20, 30 years. And, maybe they haven't put a lot of money into it because, hey, that's a lot of them, that's their retirement, right? So the more money they put into it, the less money they're making, right? That's the way, that's their thought process. So it does have a lot of maintenance, deferred maintenance. So, yeah, we definitely come in and make it nice.
Right, but would you agree that that owners tend to be more willing to sell to somebody if they think the person actually cares about the property?
Well, yeah, you've got to find out what their pain points are, right? So that's one of their concerns for sure, because they have an emotional attachment to it, and yeah, they definitely, do some research on you and kind of find out, they like you, they trust you, they'll do business with you. So if they know you're gonna eventually take care of their property, make it better, and that's important to them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any tricks when you're talking to other investors? Do you have any tricks for sniffing out if they're more on the wholesale side or buy and hold? Like, is that something that goes through your mind when you're networking with people?
Well, it just depends, right? So, I mean, if somebody calls up and they want to say, "Hey, what can I do for you?" I mean, the first thing I ask, like, "Hey, man, what have you guys bought in the last 6 months, right? Or what have you guys bought in the last 3 months or 9 months?" And then you kind of get their feel. Hey, well, I've had a lot of LOIs, a lot of contracts. Well, then they really haven't bought much, but doesn't mean that there's not a value there, right? There could be some connections. Maybe they got some stuff under contract and they just couldn't find another partner to close them, right? So I got a couple of points on that, right? I got a really good friend of mine that he probably let me borrow, I don't know, $5 million. And he has a Gmail account, right? And he'll do like some private lending, things like that. But he doesn't really have a company per se, right? Like a corporation. But if you got somebody saying, "Hey, I got hotels all over the world and I got multifamily in 50 states," and they're like, "A Gmail account?" Like, come on, man, you can't even afford a $10 hosting from GoDaddy. It's like,
Right.
It's actually most likely, right? They're just a daisy chainer. Now, I'm not saying that everybody with a Gmail account is, but if you just go down to your email list, okay, and find out who's got a Gmail account that send you deals. Yeah, it's for me, I just say it doesn't look real professional.
Right.
And then you look at their Facebook profile and their pictures like this, like you can't even see nothing, right? It's like the eyeball, half the face. I'm like, who are these people, right? And there's like no presence for them, right? There's like you can't find nothing, you can't find anything. There's no phone number, right? It's just a Gmail. Just no way. Well, yeah, So getting started, right, late 2019 and kind of jumping in 2020 when pretty much COVID hit in the financial industry, especially the lending side, got tighter, especially on your bridge loans, which basically a bridge loans is like a short-term financing. It's a little bit, you have your outfits out there that will give you those kind of loans, and about half of them went away. So yeah, it was definitely a challenge because we buy distressed properties, right? We're not, that's what we did in 2020. 2021, we'll buy some stabilized, more traditional style, but for 2020, we wanted to get some distressed. So it was definitely a challenge. We did lose one project at the beginning of the year that the funding got pulled like a few days before we closed. So that was tough. But hey, 2020 came along. I always keep saying the best strategy is your purchase price. So even if, the sky is falling, you get a good enough discount, good enough terms, and you can still make the projects happen, right? And we were able to close, 3 projects during COVID, and now our deal flow has just multiplied by 10x. It just depends on the lender, right? It depends on the lender, but they're gonna ask for probably 6 months, worth of. It's hard with the bridge loans, right? Because we ask the lenders, "Hey, how much liquidity you need to see? You need to see $1 million, $10,000? I mean,
Yeah.
3 million. I mean, what do you need to see?"
Yeah.
Right? And we don't get an answer, right? for the bridge lending. They
Yeah.
just say as much as you can put in there. Like, okay, how much as you can have. Like, okay, well, it doesn't really help us.
Yeah.
But 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, it all varies, depends on your lender. What are their requirements? And depends on the asset, right? What kind of asset you're buying and where, and how comfortable they feel, right, on the project.
Yeah. So so one other thing that I like to do when I'm working with different people in real estate is I like to try and find out what's the part that that really makes you different, makes you stand out. And part of the reason, one of the routes that I go through, I mentioned before that I lived in Taiwan, and I'm Canadian. So one thing I like to do is I like to go through people's heritages, because well, very few people are willing to talk about that because they figure they're going to wind up in shit. So, so for you, it's pretty clear that that you're Latino, and so how's your Spanish?
Well, everybody always assumes, right, that I'm Latino, but I tell everybody that I'm Irish. I don't know why. I don't know
Yeah.
why that doesn't come first, right? Like I look like
Right,
an
right.
Irish person. Hey, I would always say that I'm Irish, and my sister gave me a DNA kind of like test a couple years back, and I
Yeah.
was like almost 2% Irish or something like that.
Ooh, nice. There you
So
go.
that's kind of cool. But yeah, yeah. So my family actually comes from Texas,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, as far as back as I can trace it,
Right.
300, 400 years, maybe before America was America.
Right.
So before the U.S. even existed. So
Yep.
um, for the most part, Cashy, she wants to get out, but
Mm.
um, yeah, it's yeah. I'm from Mexico. Well, my family's from Mexico,
Hmm.
and I speak Spanish. I grew up in a border town, so
Hmm.
I grew up in Mexico when I was small. My dad was in the military, in the United States military. They shipped him off to Korea, and we
Mm.
went to live with my grandma. And all I learned was to speak Spanish.
Hmm.
Then when my dad came back, we moved back to the States, and then I had to learn English.
Mm.
And then I forgot Spanish. And then I met
Mm.
my wife, and she spoke Spanish. She said, "I'm not going to date you unless you speak Spanish again." So I had to pick up Spanish again. So I say I don't know how to speak Spanish or English properly. So
Right, right, right.
I'm somewhere in the middle.
Well, you no, you're not, because it used to be my job fixing accents and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
basically, yeah, and well, one thing that most people I think don't understand if their only language is English is that most people who speak other languages, they're actually very happy if you correct them. But like if you're surrounded by other people who are native speakers of English, if you correct their English, you're going to get serious attitude because you're either calling class or intelligence or something like that. It's like, oh, that's not how you pronounce that. You pronounce it like
Yeah.
this.
Oh yeah. Look, I mispronounce everything in Spanish and in English. Just look at my Facebook posts. Almost 80% of the time I misspell something. It's like, oh, did I just put where instead of where? Like English
Right.
is so challenging, right?
Yeah, it's a mutt. It's a
Yeah.
combination of so many different languages, and one thing that I've taken up, like back 10 years ago, I was the guy at oneshoppingcart.com where if somebody had not even functional English and they speak Spanish, I was the guy who'd take the call, even though I'm sure you've seen that before where, like somebody speaks completely in one language and then the person answers in a completely other
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. It's very interesting because I went to the Defense Language Institute, which is in
Hmm.
it's DLI, Monterey, California, when I was in the military.
Hmm.
And that's like the language institute. That's where everybody goes to learn a foreign language.
Hmm.
And our instructor would have a lot of hacks,
Hmm.
just saying, hey, this is how you help yourself, either accents and things like that. Just kind of
Hmm.
what you're doing right now. So you just brought back some good and bad memories. Pretty simple stuff. I'm pretty low maintenance kind of guy.
Hmm.
So just travel, going out on dates with my wife
Hmm. Hmm.
is probably the biggest things. I love to eat as well. So
Good stuff. Good. I saw a joke yesterday because 2 days ago now was when the Senate floor was stormed in the Capitol, just for historical record. And so the joke that was going around is that now Mexico finally agreed to paying for the wall and Canada wants one too.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so when it comes down to controversial conversations, I always ask somebody if they want to have a chat, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I said, okay, are you willing to have a two-way conversation, and would you accept if you're incorrect, right? And if their answer is yeah, I mean, I'll take, I'll honestly be open-minded that I might be wrong, then we have that conversation. But if you have that conversation, to like, doesn't matter what you say,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
They're never going to be wrong. That's just a waste of time, right? You're wasting everybody's time.
Right. Right.
One of the core values, right, is like, don't be an asshole, right? It's literally on there. So in a company meeting, when I say, hey guys, what's our 5 core values? They're like, don't be an asshole. I'm like, that's number 5. What about the other 4?
Right.
So, I believe, just, don't be an asshole. I'm sure it's written somewhere in a book a lot nicer than that in a lot of books, right? Treat other people the way you want to be treated. And, I believe everybody can get along, just as long as if you believe something different than I do, don't try to force me or don't try to kill me for it. Right.
Right.
There's a way to get along, right? There's always a way to get along. And a lot of the stuff is just communication, right? A lot of the stuff is just, it's just let me make an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you guys, but every once in a while, my wife and I have a discussion, right? We have an argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe every marriage out there is better than mine, but we'll have a discussion, right? I might say something and she might say something, and then this is what happens, right? Maybe dinner time and we don't apologize, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or we don't fix the issue.
Yeah.
And then at dinner, she might, serve me my dinner, and then she asked me, hey, can you get me a napkin? And then I grab the napkin and she might think I'm throwing it at her, but I'm laying it there, but maybe it does look like I'm throwing it at her. Then I ask her to do something else, and then the way she does it, I see it a different way. And then it starts elevating, like in our own mind,
right?
It just starts elevating. And I think most of the problems out there are just in our own mind, right? And actually, you actually have a conversation with somebody, right? Like, if I'll just say, like, if somebody is a Muslim and somebody is a Christian, you know how many Muslims and Christians actually sit down and actually have a conversation? I bet you guys, you'll be friends, Yep. It's just, but everybody, you just have different perceptions, and you never get a chance to actually sit down and meet with a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just have a conversation. Everybody's human. Everybody has their own issues, their own problems. And I think everything can be, unless you're just crazy, you're just straight up crazy, where, you just can't accept anybody else. And that's basically, you're basically a bigot, right?
Mm-hmm.
If that's just you, then there's nothing you can do about that. But if you're actually, a normal person, right, that can have a discussion and accept other people, there's really no need for a lot of the division and animosity and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in our relationship, my relationship with my wife, the biggest thing that we noticed since we got married is just you have to develop an ability to just drop it, just let it go. It's like, all right, not worth it. I used to call it keeping your eye on the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, or keeping your eye on the prize. And it's called, like, if something's going on and it's making you hate the person, it's like, well, wait a second, that's a person, and they're more important than being right or wrong or this particular thing. So just end up dropping it, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's I became a professional apologizer, right? All you gotta do is apologize, right? Like, and then when you apologize, right? Like, if I do something, I just gotta apologize, and I just gotta stay quiet, right? Because I'm the one apologizing. I shouldn't defend myself.
Right.
If I felt like she felt offended, I apologize. She's my wife. Even if I didn't mean it that way, it doesn't matter. I just apologize, and she can tell me whatever she wants. And then 15 minutes later, we'll be fine.
Right.
And that's that's our rule. If anybody out there is interested in learning more about what we do, how we structure, how we make money, be more than happy to have a chat with you.